Keeping an eye on what's going on with this special counsel, David Weiss, the guy who's supposed to be investigating the Bidens and prosecuting them. What's really happening there? Well, David Weiss just testified before Congress, and the details of that testimony, well, our next guest knows all about it. It's James Lynch. He's an investigative reporter for the Daily Caller, and he joins us now. James, good to have you with us, sir.
Hi, Vince. Thanks for having me back.
All right, so the David Weiss saga has been one where we've been hearing that, he had full authority to prosecute the Bidens, to prosecute Hunter Biden, and then we found out, well, no, he didn't really, because the IRS whistleblowers came out and said that he asked for help and he was denied, and then he released a letter to Congress saying, actually, I could do whatever I wanted. I always had full authority. There's just been a lot of back and forth and a lot of dirt being kicked into the air and making it hard for the public to understand this. What do we know, James?
Yeah, I think you put it correctly. There's been a lot of back and forth ever since the IRS whistleblowers came forward and Hunter Biden's plea deal collapsed in court. And so David Weiss, who is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware, he's been the lead prosecutor on the Hunter Biden investigation for years now. And Weiss testified Tuesday in front of the House Judiciary Committee, and I reviewed a transcript of Weiss's testimony. And basically, Weiss confirmed to the House Judiciary Committee that he requested what's known as special attorney authority under Section 515, which would have given his prosecutors in Delaware the ability to charge Hunter Biden for alleged tax offenses outside of their jurisdiction. And in this instance, Weiss was trying to charge Hunter Biden in Washington, D.C. And the reason why this matters is because David Weiss and Merrick Garland have both said that he had full authority, ultimate authority over the Hunter Biden investigation. And the accusation that Weiss's authority was limited was a key aspect of the IRS whistleblower testimony before Congress. And so Weiss told the Judiciary Committee about a phone call that he had where two DOJ officials were on the call and Weiss requested Section 515 authority, and the DOJ officials responded by telling Weiss to follow the normal process. And in order to follow the normal process, he would have to work with the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia if he wanted to charge Hunter Biden for alleged tax offenses in D.C. And the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Matthew Graves, who was an appointee of Joe Biden's, he donated to Joe Biden and worked for the Biden campaign. Graves testified last month that he declined to partner with Weiss on the case. And so Weiss was left kind of on an island given the fact that he didn't get Section 515 authority and he wasn't able to partner with Graves on this case, which is something that's been confirmed now by his testimony.
Yes. Okay. So, but there are a lot of word games that are being played here by David Weiss and the Justice Department. So he requested special attorney status, the Section 515 special attorney status. That is separate and distinct from special counsel, correct?
Yeah, that's a different version. That's a different mode of getting additional charging authority. Special attorney is distinct from special counsel.
Yes. Okay. So he requested special attorney status. And importantly, my reading of this is that the Justice Department never officially denied him. They just said, well, why don't you go through the regular routes first? And they left this special attorney request kind of tabled. They never actually gave him an answer, correct?
Yeah, I think you're correct about that. Weiss in his testimony said that the special attorney authority was not approved. He refused to say explicitly that he was denied the authority, but Weiss did say that the authority was not approved to him at a moment where he was hoping to charge Hunter Biden in D.C. for tax offenses related to the income that he was bringing in from Ukrainian energy firm Burisma.
Yes. But to a normal person, if you requested this status, right, special attorney status, and then you got DOJ officials saying, no, why don't you just do the regular route? That's a declination, right? And so as a result, what that really suggests is that this is a creative way that David Weiss is trying to legalese his way out of an allegation that he lied to Congress. And that would be true of Merrick Garland as well. The Justice Department, as far as from my perspective, is trying to wiggle out of what seemed to be a pretty clear-cut case of misleading Congress.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, there's a lot of word games being played with the language, but we know for a fact that there was a sequence of events where Weiss called the DOJ about getting additional authority to charge Hunter Biden, And granted, this was before Weiss ever requested special counsel status. This instance happened in the spring of 2022.
Yes.
Before the statute of limitations expired.
So, okay. So that's another key element to this. So he requests special attorney status in March of 2022. The DOJ guys were like, no, go talk to the other U.S. attorneys in California and in D.C. You can ask them whether or not they want to partner with you. He does that. They both decline. So then during the time frame when he's still not a special attorney and now he's been declined by these various other U.S. attorneys, the statute of limitations begins to expire. And you're looking at crimes that Hunter Biden could be charged with. Whoops, they just start disappearing.
Yeah, so it's important to understand that soon after the special attorney authority was rejected by the DOJ, Garland testified before Congress and said, Weiss has full authority, which is something that he also said when he testified again in September of this year. And the reason why that matters, not just because of what Garland said, is because IRS whistleblower Shapley said that one of the reasons why he was inspired to come forward was because he believed that Garland had been misleading Congress about the scope of Weiss's authority. And yes, as you said, the charges for 2014 and 15 tax years, which the whistleblowers have explained took place in D.C., they related to Hunter Biden allegedly it related to Hunter Biden and the income that he was receiving from Burisma and how he represented it on tax forms. But the statute of limitations on that proceeded to expire after Weiss was not given Section 515 authority and Graves declined to partner on the case in D.C.
And normally you would think of a prosecutor as a slam dunk case, but they're watching the calendar going, man, there's a statute of limitations coming up. They'd move on it, right? I mean, you had the IRS whistleblowers essentially say in their testimony before Congress that they've never seen a case like this in their lives, have they?
Yeah, we know that the whistleblowers had suggested to the DOJ that they charge Hunter Biden for, I believe it was felonies and misdemeanors in 2014 and then misdemeanors in 2015 based on what was happening with the Burisma income. And this report by the IRS agents on the case, Ziegler, Shapley, and others, had been developed after years of kind of slow walking the investigative process, preventing certain investigative steps and certain searches. For example, there was an attempt to search Hunter Biden's storage locker around here in Northern Virginia, and that was allegedly thwarted by a U.S. attorney in David Weiss's office. So after kind of a years-long process where certain investigative steps were effectively slow-walked and shut down in ways that the whistleblowers had never seen before, they end up creating this report where they recommend certain tax charges, including the 2014 and 2015 tax years, and those ended up kind of falling apart and the statute of limitations expired.
Okay, let's take a closer look on whether or not David Weiss is actually pursuing anything with any sort of speed now. You have a report up with more information on this transcript involving how long it's taking for David Weiss to fill his staff as special counsel. What did we learn this week?
Yeah, we learned from the transcript of his testimony that Weiss hasn't fully staffed up his special counsel office. And he said that the special counsel office is distinct from his U.S. attorney's office. He's assuming U.S. attorney responsibilities and special counsel responsibilities at the same time. But he didn't give a timeline for the investigation. He didn't offer any really specific details about personnel aside from the fact that his team isn't fully built out yet, even though Garland appointed him in August. And as you were saying, Vince, you would think there would be more urgency on the Hunter Biden case, given its significance, and that there would be more urgency given the fact that, there's been a years-long investigative process surrounding this case, and there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that has been gathered related to Hunter Biden.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, James Lynch. We're talking to James Lynch from the Daily Caller. It does seem like a worthwhile avenue of reporting for sure. Are there other statutes of limitations that are approaching? And if we continue to see foot dragging on the part of the Justice Department and on Special Counsel David Weiss, will there be other things that can't be charged just because of the passage of time?
Yeah, so there were concerns about a potential statute of limitations for the gun charges in Delaware, but they did hand down an indictment, and Hunter Biden was indicted in September on those gun charges. When it comes to potential tax charges, I'm not an expert on the tax law. I believe that for 2016 onwards, the tax charges would have to be filed in California, and so I'm not sure if it's the same process as DC.
Got it.
But I would say refer to the whistleblower testimony on that.
I just think that it does seem like, from my perspective, like with each passing year, that's another year of tax charges you can't drop on the guy, and then simultaneously, whatever the statute of limitations are on Foreign Agent Registration Act violations, and basically doing the bidding of foreign powers and taking money for it. This all could be slipping away from us. I mean, the idea that he hasn't even filled his staff out on this in the special counsel's office kind of suggests a lot about how urgently he's pursuing this matter.
Yeah, it's hard to say when it comes to the urgency because, as I said before, there's plenty of evidence to show that prior to Weiss's special counsel designation, there had been slow walking of certain investigative steps, and there had been efforts to shut down potential investigative leads with Hunter Biden. And we have seen that the gun charges were filed, but when it comes to the foreign agent charges, the 2014 and 2015 years, as the whistleblowers have explained, were the strongest case of the foreign agent charges because of the work that Hunter Biden was doing for Burisma,
right?
Which, as seen, there was a lot more involvement in terms of what his father was doing on Ukraine and how that affected Burisma when it comes to the corruption investigation going on in that country.
James Lynch, I also want to address quickly with you the activities of the House Oversight Committee this week. James Comer has issued a number of subpoenas to the Biden family, including Hunter Biden's art dealer, and which seems kind of important. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so the House Oversight Committee announced subpoenas for Hunter Biden, for James Biden, for multiple Biden business associates, including Rob Walker, who was at the center of the China transaction, and Eric Schwerin, who was kind of Hunter Biden's accountant and had a lot of communications with Burisma. So they're being subpoenaed to appear for depositions before the committee, potentially in December. So we'll see what happens with that. The Oversight Committee also requested interviews with other people involved with the Biden family business dealings. So we'll see what happens there and whether the Biden family members and the business associates comply with the subpoenas. But it could mean a lot more accountability and people having to answer questions about the Biden family enterprise in front of a congressional committee that's already uncovered a lot of evidence that there was foreign payments and foreign dealings going on in nations around the world.
Yeah, we've yet to see what happens here, because if these guys decline to even come in and Congress tries to make a contempt of Congress referral to the Justice Department, no chance in hell the Biden Justice Department pursues any of these guys. So a lot of question marks about what actually happens next. But for now, a bunch of subpoenas being sent out to Biden world. James Lynch, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate your time as always and your wisdom on this subject. Really appreciate that. Thank you.